When it is UK time, this is at UP Fitness Live. I just switched the YouTube camera on a little bit late, so it was a little bit of a chaotic start. And on an upside, I'm actually on time this week. Last week I started 45 minutes early because I was exhausted. Many things. Andrew Willett, what's up? We've got loads of you coming in. It's almost like some of you are sitting there waiting to join, which is awesome. I like that. If you were, even if you weren't, I'm going to choose to think that you were. You all know the purpose of these. I get on here every single Wednesday at 8 PM UK time to go through, evening Michael, go through everything in the fitness industry, any of our own products, any of our own services, any questions that you have to ask me, anything you've seen advertised, anything that people are trying to throw down your throat, I can answer you and give you an honest opinion on whether I think it's beneficial or not, which is especially important at this time of year. Now, loads of you always come up with the same questions, so we'll cover them really early for anyone who's just joining in. Water, between 4 and 6 litres a day for everybody. Intermittent fasting, no, I don't agree with it for body composition. Ketosis, no, it's shit for body composition. What else do we have? What should you be doing over the Christmas period? Set up a calorie deficit before you go out for your big Christmas parties, things like that. It's going to help maintain at the very best your physique. You're not necessarily going to gain, you're not necessarily going to progress unless you're really dedicated over this Christmas period. What do we got coming in? Tiger Fit, what's up? So remember, anything that we answer today you can go straight onto at UP Fitness Live, at upfitness.com, and you can pick up any of the information that I speak to you about here on there. Anything about our online training programs, that could be one-to-one online training, or Live Up, which is our lowest cost online training ever, £50 per month to get coached by me, basically, which is pretty awesome. Plus you get to join in the amazing online forum with my unbelievably amazing squad, both male and female. They're absolutely epic. I would imagine a bunch of them are joining in tonight. We've already seen a few faces. Right, what have we got here? First question, Cam, you've taken my question virginity today. Watch the UP vid on muscle gain talking about reducing carbs and increasing fats temporarily to improve insulin sensitivity and stay in a surplus. Is that correct? Yes, absolutely, because you are taking in less glucose. Eventually your blood is going to start to clear the system of it, allowing your body to be more insulin sensitive and your muscle cells to be more responsive to glucose and therefore carb intake. So yes, absolutely. Anito, Elliot, I posted on the forum today about goals. Any tips, tricks and ideas about goal setting? Yes, if you type in goals in the forum, I put a massive post up about it. You can also go into my personal profile and look for a picture with a big blue Audi R8, and you can see there my tips for goal setting. Essentially the SMART acronym, which works very well. It's tried and tested, and it is effective. You just got to put them into action. You know, I think something that a lot of you do with goals, you're never specific enough. You are never dialing that goal into exactly what it is and what you need from it and when. That's the big thing. I've asked on my own stories multiple times, you know, what motivates you? What are your goals? What do you want to do? And people come up with, oh, I want to be in better shape. Doesn't really account for anything. You have to be specific. What do you want? Do you want a 17-inch bicep? Do you want 30-inch quads? Be specific about what you want. If you are specific about what you want, you know how to walk down the right path in order to get there. So make sure you are very specific with your goal setting. But yeah, go and check out those other posts. Lean with Luke, what's up? Welcome back. It has been a long while. Cam, how long would you do this for? I would imagine for the majority of people, a week to 2 weeks is probably enough. It just kind of depends on how many carbs you've been having, how much muscle mass you have, what your activity levels are. There are very many variables, but I would suggest 1 to 2 weeks is more than adequate. Lots of you in. Beth, what's up? Nicole, Swan of a Gun, Woofogram, Araganagadet 4, all sorts of weird names. Remember, I'm trying to scan through all of these questions, so if ever you ask a question and I do miss it, which does happen, believe it or not, I am still human, make sure you ask the question again, nice and politely, so we don't have any arguments, and also make sure you ask the question in one hit. Don't separate the question up, otherwise it's impossible for me to read what's actually going on. You know my drill. Sparkling water with fresh lime juice in it. It's a cravings killer. And if you out there really struggle with cravings, get yourself some of this sparkling water, put some mint leaves in it, fresh mint leaves, and squeeze some lemon or lime in there. Absolutely awesome. It murders my cravings straight away. Jenny Stokes, what's up? Emma Victoria Thompson, best way to balance hormones depends why they're imbalanced. That's the first and foremost. There's no way to balance hormones. You can certainly help yourself by a high protein diet, adequate fat intake, because obviously fats, cholesterol are needed to create your hormones, to maintain good sleep patterns and control your stress. Taking plenty of greens to manage estrogen levels. There are a number of different things you can do, but you need to be a bit more specific about what's imbalanced. What do you know to be up? What do you know to be down? And the only way to figure that out is usually blood or urine tests. Hi UP Fitness, you okay? We certainly are okay. I can only speak for myself and kind of on behalf of some parts of UP Fitness, but yeah, we're pretty damn good. We're awesome. How are you, Jenny Stokes? Michael McGee, what's good for strengthening your knees? Struggle due to old sporting injuries. Squats are tough, unassisted. Weight training is essentially good for strengthening your knees. You know, you need to be mobile, so make sure you're getting plenty of soft tissue work. Make sure you're getting massage regularly if you can. Stretch regularly and strength train. With regard to strengthening the knees, the muscle structures around the knees are what strengthens the knees. So technically, the stronger they are, the healthier the knees. What we got? Cam, just to clarify, so the whole time we would stay in a surplus in order to continue to build, is a 50% switch of carbs, fats, good ratio. Again, I've said this a million times to lots of you, irrelevant of what it is, there is no ratio. There is never a ratio because there are too many variables. You are too different to me. You are too different to them. There's no ratio. If you are taking carbs out, put fats in, then take carbs out, put fats in. Don't worry about ratios and this and that and the other, you know. If you're trying to make yourself insulin sensitive, you're going to want to remove the vast majority of your carbs in order to clear your system or your blood of glucose. So ratios are a little bit irrelevant there. Excuse me, I'm still a little bit ill. Still carrying whatever virus it was I picked up in the UK a few weeks back, so do bear with me. What's a safe way to test your 1 rep max deadlift? Test it, you know, build up steadily, make sure you're thoroughly warmed up and test it. You know, I would always usually prefer to test like a 3 rep max than a 1 rep max. But if you are going to test a 1 rep max, then just do it to a point of safety. Do not lose form. If you actually look at a video that I posted today on my own personal profile, I've been rehabbing my hamstring, my left hamstring, which I tore quite badly earlier on in the summer. I've finally started being able to squat again and building the weight back up slowly. And every 4th week I test, not my 1RM, but I test how far I can push my squat until I start to lose form, or I can identify somewhere in my kinetic chain, somewhere in my body that is not strong enough to progress me. Now I got to 180 kilos today and my hips gave way. You can see on the final video on the squat, I collapsed a bit as I was going up and my hips were not strong enough. So I know to work on my hips as I start progressing. I'll kind of back off and then progress back up through that strength period. But I wouldn't necessarily suggest you test your 1 rep max. I don't think it's necessary. I don't necessarily think it's intelligent unless you are in a competition. Lots of you coming. Beth, I've been following diet and exercise programs, starting off with around 1400 calories for the first 4 weeks and down to 1100 calories for the next 4 weeks, but I feel like I'm plateauing on my body shape and my weight. That happens, it happens. You know, you need to make sure you're changing up your training program. You need to make sure that you're constantly adapting and progressing. So, you know, if you've created a dietary progression, which it seems like you have, then potentially your training is the next thing you need to switch up. You could have adapted to it already and you're no longer moving through that properly. Alternatively, you could have taken your calories too low and your body stopped adapting, or dependent on your current body shape, you may already be quite lean. And obviously the leaner you get, the more resistant to fat loss your body is going to get. It's always going to push back harder the deeper into a diet you go. So there's a few potential factors there. But if you feel that it's not your diet and that you still have fat to lose, then potentially look at your training. You may need to up the intensity or variation in your training. So a squatting video today and I was curious why you held the bar so wide. Personal preference. Sam, the reason I held the bar so wide, I used to squat when I was squatting properly. I used to squat my elbows right in. Now, purely now, it's just through comfort. Because I'm not squatting silly heavy, I can still feel quite comfortable with my arms out there and it doesn't stress my shoulders out now. As a few of you watch these regularly will know, about 3 or 4 months back when I ripped my hamstring, I was doing a program with a very, very reputable strength coach, one of the world's best, but it was a program that my body could not recover from, and I ended up with injuries everywhere. I still can't put pressure on my wrist from that program. It was ruined. My right shoulder was completely ruined from that program. I tore my hamstring in half with that program. So I'm still kind of recovering little bits and bobs. Now, the problem is with what happened to my shoulder during that program is I really struggled to get my hand under the bar the way I should. So for now, while I'm still not going crazy heavy, I can put my arm out on the edge of the bar and it keeps it fairly stable. So it's just a comfort thing for me right now. From 1 to 10, how important is stretching after 45 minutes of weight training when you're in a rush? I would say at least, not necessarily vastly important, let's say a 6 or a 7. But I would recommend you stretch every day somehow. You should certainly be mobilizing before you train, doing a dynamic warm-up. And ideally, if you can stretch afterwards, even for 5 minutes, it's going to be beneficial. I defy anyone, if you can't spare 5 minutes after your training to have a quick stretch off, then your time management is shit. The chances are that your rest periods lack discipline, and you can probably spare that even if you time your rest periods properly. So I'll say about a 7 out of 10. As long as you can get a good 10 to 15 minutes worth of stretching in per day, you'll probably remain quite healthy and in injury-free-ish. Thanks so much, Elliot. Thanks so much, Elliot, always for your time. No problem. Miguel, what's up? Yazamin, Leslie, I have a lower back problem. How do I strengthen it without making it worse? Leslie, it very much depends on why your lower back is in pain. Is it a compressive thing? Is it a muscular thing? Is it an imbalance thing? Is it actually your lower back? Or is it a lack of strength in the hips? Is it actually your lower back? Or is it a very, very tight psoas and hip flexor? There are too many variables to that, so you need to identify why your back is hurting. Once you can identify why it's hurting, you can figure out how to remedy it without making it worse. Hi Dev, good evening Elliot. I'm a builder, I play golf, do CrossFit, eat pretty well, looking for some expert knowledge on what vitamins or supplements to take, if any. A multivitamin is always useful, hi Dev. Chances are you're going to start getting quite deficient in a lot of things. You're probably going to want to control your recovery if you do CrossFit. So I would suggest anti-inflammatories, something like omega-3 fish oils. Curcumin could also be very, very beneficial. I have actually put a supplements pack together, which I believe is something that everybody should take. It's just kind of the day-to-day essentials. And if you go onto upfitness.com and look for the Live Up Essentials, it will give you the breakdown of that, and it tells you exactly what I think you should have in your cupboard. But certainly on a very basic level, with the amount of activity you're doing, I would suggest anti-inflammatories like omega-3 fish oils and curcumin, and certainly things like a multivitamin and magnesium for recovery. No worries, Beth, not a problem. Any UP coming to Paris? Marco, I don't believe so just yet, but who knows? The big man will know that. He has his plan. We tend to know a little bit later than he does. Best workout for big arms, high reps or low reps? Numa, a combination of both. Just don't overtrain them. I find that obviously because you're using your arms a lot on all pushing, pulling movements, they do get hit quite hard. So if you go in and smash them 2 or 3 times a week to pieces, unless you've got phenomenal genetics and you're primed to grow, try not to overtrain them. Keep the frequency high, but keep the volume relatively low within the session, but mix that up within heavy stuff and sort of higher rep stuff. One thing I will say that is really beneficial to arm training, slow tempos. Really slow it down, especially on the eccentric, because it's very, very easy to compensate with various other things, your shoulders, your forearms, etc. So by slowing it down, you can really feel the muscle and target it properly. Hi, have you heard of Squat to Valhalla? Is it any good? No, I haven't heard of Squat to Valhalla. Valhalla is a Nordic version of heaven or whatever you want to call it, isn't it? Squat to Valhalla. No, I get the feeling this is another ridiculous internet thing, but do explain to me. Elliot, what's the best way to deal with a unilateral tight hip flexor? Stretch it, basically. Stretch it, and make sure you've got the glute firing on that side. Dealing with menopausal symptoms whilst training is difficult as I feel low in energy and mood. Any advice, please? B vitamins can be quite beneficial to you, and dependent on whether you're postmenopausal or perimenopausal, magnesium can really help with temperature regulation. If you're getting hot flushes, that can fatigue you. It can affect your sleep, so make sure you're taking magnesium. I would recommend about 400 milligrams per night, and controlling estrogen fluctuations. So Getting something like our Estro support can help balance that out a little bit, because you're going to have some days when it's super high, some days when it's super low. When it's super high, you're not necessarily going to be very motivated. You're going to have potentially mood swings. You're going to be a little bit oversensitive to a lot of things, and training is probably going to be the last thing on your mind. So that would be what I would suggest. First and foremost, get yourself some magnesium. It can really, really help. Get yourself some Estro support and some B vitamins also. Hi Dev, cheers mate, love your live talks. No problem, as long as I can give you a little bit of useful information in these hours, then I'm happy. I'm getting on a flight to Manchester first thing tomorrow morning. We've got loads and loads of content to film over this weekend, so I'll be in the Manchester gym and the Manchester office, so please make sure that if you're around, you say hi. I'll be at the Christmas market at some point, probably filling my face with all sorts of Christmas nastiness. I love Christmas, by the way, it's my favourite time of year. So yeah, if you're at the Christmas market and you're from Manchester, do feel free to say hi, don't run away from me. The amount of direct messages I get if I've been in an airport and someone's seen me, or I've been in the gym and someone's seen me, or I've been somewhere, anywhere, and somebody's seen me, you all tend to send me direct messages about half an hour after you see me saying, oh my God, I just saw you, but I was too shy to say hello. Don't be shy, come and say hello. I might look at you really weirdly initially because I've got no idea who you are, but just say, oh, by the way, I'm so-and-so, I watch your live feeds, it's really nice to meet you. You're smaller than I thought you were. Is it worth getting whey protein when first starting out with training and better eating? Absolutely, Michael, yes it is. Reason being is that especially when you're starting out and you're getting to grips with your diet, etc., it's always worth getting a high quality protein in. If you can do that relatively easily with a post-workout shake, it's going to benefit you. It's going to help you to recover quicker. It's going to help you to burn fat faster. It's going to help you move forward and progress more easily. And it's slightly more convenient than cooking, especially when you're in that initial period when you're trying to get to grips with how to make your nutrition work for your training. Having additional good quality protein within your diet can do nothing but good for you. So yes, absolutely, get it down here. You can find either our whey protein or our pea protein on upfitness.com. What I recommend is, if you can, is to try to switch between them month on month. If you get the pea protein, get the chocolate hazelnut one, it's mega, the vegan protein. Switch between them because it just allows your body to keep its full spectrum of digestive enzymes moving. It stops you from becoming intolerant or having any gut issues with them. So it's always worth rotating your protein sources, which is why we supply both vegan protein and whey protein. No problem at all, Michael. You're very, very welcome. It's been raining here in Marbella for the best part of, I mean, I've spent most of my time in the UK recently, but it's been raining here in Marbella for the best part of 2 months. Like, we don't usually have that amount of rain in an entire year, but for some reason, it's been absolutely smashing it down. Thunderstorms, though, they're cool. They look ace. Who's in the north of England right now? Is it snowing yet? I want to get there and I want it to be snowing. Easy mate, easy Aiden. A bit off topic, but did you and Tess Holiday, did Tess Holiday ever get in touch with you? No, she didn't. I hear that about a month after I did that video, she actually went blind because her diabetes has caused great issue with her vision. But what did she say to that? And, you know, kind of partially quite funny. I have some respect for her wit, but I have zero respect for her idiocy. Is she said, well, my diabetes has now taken my vision, so at least I can't see the haters. Dick. Barso, hello. Anito, no snow, that sucks. Andrew Parker, what are my top tips on bulking? Take your time. Understand that you can't go on a 6, 8, 12 week bulking phase. If you want to bulk, if you want to get big, do it for a year. Set a year aside and say, right, I want to get massive. I'm going to accept that I'm going to put on a little bit of body fat and I'm going to gradually try and get as big as I can over the coming year. Because all you end up doing, if you go on a bulking and cutting phase like most internet douchebags, is maybe you put on 1.5 kilos of muscle, then you try and diet down just as fast as you tried to bulk up because you've got fat, and you lose that 1.5 kilos of muscle again. So it takes you 10 years to put on 3 kilos. So take your time. That would be my #1 tip. Allow yourself a long period of time and build it up gradually. No snow yet, but it's bloody cold. God damn it. What is cold if it's not snowy? It's just pointless, isn't it? I've just purchased the Ultimate Body Transformation Plan. How do I adapt it for the female body? It will give you basic tips within there. You know, the way to look at it is look at your own body. What do you want to build at your body? The principles are always the same. The only difference would be for you to adjust it to what muscles you want to work specifically. So the muscles that are being hit more frequently are the ones that are likely to grow. So for most females, that's the butt, that's the thighs, that's the quads. So adjust the higher frequency sessions to suit your lower body. Beth McIlroy, me, no, but it's blooming cold, I bet it is. It's cold, mate, very, very cold. I'm getting the feeling it's cold in the north of England, isn't it? There's a lot of you. Driving down a body fat, right. Yeah, it's especially cold when we're driving down your body fat, yeah. Well, it's a price you have to pay. You usually have to buy a new wardrobe and you're gonna get a lot colder. Yeah, Aidan, it's a sad fact, isn't it, unfortunately. Do you think you should have a week's rest from weights every 12 weeks? Barso, not necessarily. It depends how hard you're training. If I look at my tens of thousands of clients over the last decade or so, how many of them should be taking a week off every 12, 24 weeks, whatever? 5, maybe. Most people don't train hard enough. They just haven't got it in them to train that hard. So, no, not necessarily. How does your online remote program work? So we have, mark us down, we have one-to-one online training where you are allocated a specific trainer who will take a load of information from you, from a PARQ you will sign and send off to us. We take that information, we assess you via that. Sometimes we will ask you to send videos of certain things so we can assess how you move, where your skill set lies, and then a specific program and nutrition and supplementation plan is constructed and sent out to you for you to execute. You then have 24/7 access to your trainer who, where possible, we'll be back and forth with you trying to make sure everything is 100%. You also have access to our private forum, which gives you general information. It gives you a kind of sounding board to ask questions, just in case your trainer can't get back to you as quick as you would like on emergency stuff. The alternative to that is our Live Up program, which is our lowest cost program ever, which is £50 per month. And that is basically a pre-made program, something that I wrote a good few years ago. We have one for men, one for females, and that gives you the program. It gives you a pre-made diet that we adjust to you on a basic level, over time. It's not specific to you, but we adjust it to you across a period of time based on check-ins that come in every week. So those are our two, basically a summary of our online platforms. If you go to upfitness.com and look at the online training tab, you can find out exactly what you need on there. I'm having one now, I need a break, but I'm still doing blaze and treadmill every day. Well, if you're training every day, there's no wonder you feel like you need a break, because if you're doing stuff like that every single day, then you're not gonna be able to weight train adequately. I train 6 days a week, so felt I needed a week off. Who's asked? Weight training 6 days a week, Barso? Are you weight training 6 days a week? Is Amplify caffeine free? Is there anything pre-workout you recommend that is caffeine free? Yeah, Harry Pound, if you go to our website and look for Focus, okay? Go to the supplement store and look for Focus. It's a kind of like a pre-workout, it's caffeine-free pre-workout. We have one with caffeine, one without, but it basically dials your brain in it. It gets the neurotransmitters set up and fires you into a what does Nick say? How does Nick put it? It's like something like a hyperactive squirrel on PCP or whatever it is, but it's brilliant and it is caffeine free. So head over there and it will explain all. Go to upfitness.com and type in Focus in the search bar and it will bring that one up. Jenny Stokes, Marco Stan, Barso, weight 6 days a week. Then that's why you need a break, and you're probably not getting very far with weight 6 days a week either. That's likely to be quite heavily overtraining, and this therefore means that each session, the intensity within that session is not high enough, and as a knock onto that, your recovery is not high enough. So you're fairly likely to be spinning your wheels quite badly there. You're not really going to go anywhere if you ask me, but that's my preference. That's how if you came to me as a new client and you said, this is what I'm doing, can you help me? I would say you train half that amount, basically. Shouldn't be weight training 6 days a week. I don't weight train 6 days a week. I weight train 3 days a week at best because I can't recover from any more. Obviously within that, everybody is different. Everybody recovers at different speeds. Everyone's genetic recovery level is vastly different. So there is a bit of room to maneuver there. But certainly for the majority of people, 6 days a week is not going to happen. Why? Because you're probably not sleeping well enough. You're probably not eating well enough. You're probably not training correctly. Many things that go into it. When working arms, legs, chest, etc., do you complete 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps on each body part as a full session? If you're only training one body part in a session, what would you recommend for sets reps? Michael, I wouldn't recommend you train a single body part per session. That's a really outdated and kind of silly way to train. Train your full body, but I would suggest as a starting point, pick 1 to 2 exercises per muscle group and train them between 8 to 12 reps for 2 or 3 sets. Legs, chest, bars, shoulders, arms, back, one another. Seems to be working. Well, clearly not if you need to take a week off, Barso. What you're doing now is probably burning calories like an absolute monster, but putting yourself in a really horrible hormonal position. I don't know. Look, you might be one of the lucky ones. If I tried to train 6 days a week, if I tried to train any of my clients 6 days a week, it would make them hit the floor hard. Hard. My liege, thoughts on compression clothing? Stufa, it can be useful, absolutely can be useful. I actually use compression socks on my calves. I have rather big, heavy calves, and if I do any kind of running or even uphill walking, my calves cripple me. They are cramping, they're in absolute agony. However, if I wear socks, it stops the movement of the calf and it does seem to restrict the amount of pain and issues that I have there. So yeah, I do actually kind of back up compression clothing just a bit. Super cheers, no problem. Didn't need to take a week off, but fancy the break. 6 days is too painful, is it? I don't know. I'm a bit confused here, Barso. I'm a bit confused. But yeah, my opinion, as I've said 10 times, 6 days, too much for me, certainly. Too much for me. How else to cover every body part in a week? The same way that we advocate you cover every body part by training full body. Body part splits it's a very outdated and rather ineffective way to train your body, in my opinion. Chilies, spices, fact or myth that they help with burning fat? Don't really know. Potentially, you know, there's always studies to suggest whatever you want to suggest. So some studies will say yes, others will say no, that it's inconsequential, the difference that it makes, but who knows? If you like having spices, I always recommend put herbs and spices on your food, so there may be an add-in, but you know, one of the things you've got to remember with stuff like that, especially beginners, is that they think if they have cayenne pepper on their chicken, that it offsets the pizza that they had last night. It doesn't. Rosanna Jones, what's the best exercise to banish cellulite on your stomach? There is no exercise to banish cellulite. If you want to get rid of cellulite, you need to get leaner. You need to diet. It has nothing at all to do with exercise. Cellulite essentially is, if you were to imagine 2 layers, okay? We have a layer of muscle here, we have a layer of skin there. And in between those layers, there are kind of pillars. Now, between those pillars are fat cells, and when fat cells get too big and expand, it snaps the pillars and it creates bubbles. You know, if you imagine like a circus tent, there's one pillar that's standing, one pillar's collapsed, one pillar's standing, one pillar's collapsed. It creates like that orange peel effect on your skin. Now, this is because the fat cells inside it are swelling and creating these bubbles. If you can get the fat cells to reduce in size, the cellulite will start to disappear. This is not done by stomach crunches or any of the dumb shit that Instagram personalities, I caught it there just before it came out of my mouth, Instagram personalities put out on their social media profile saying this will get rid of cellulite. No, it won't. Getting your nutrition right and being consistent with your nutrition and getting leaner will get rid of your cellulite. No amount of crunches or anything like that will do that, so please don't fall down that trap. Get your diet nailed. I do 3 weight training sessions a week and 3 45-minute spin sessions a week. Do you think I'm still capable of building adequate muscle, or am I doing too much cardio? Joanna, I would say unless you're really lucky, you're probably not going to build much muscle doing that amount of spinning. Jonathan, I'm on live up phase 1. Is my focus reducing body fat to allow more effective muscle building in later phases? You've got it. Well done. Very clever. And if so, is there a target body fat before the muscle building phase begins? Basically, I want to see veins around your ab area. When I'm looking at you, I want to see veins on your abs, because I know if I can see veins on your abs, you're probably lean enough for me to start giving you tons and tons and tons of carbs and a lot more food. And your body will use it adequately for building muscle as opposed to kind of storing it as fat, basically. But yes. Harry Pound, which flavour amplifier would you recommend? I actually prefer the lemon and lime flavour. We've got a lime flavour one, which is my best. I also have, what did I have today? I've got just in there pineapple, which isn't the best, but does what it says in the tin. I'm not overly worried about that. My gym has been closed for 2 weeks following a refurb. Would you continue as you were with the program or revert and build up again? I would continue as you are if it's only been closed 2 weeks. Have you been doing something in those 2 weeks? Instagram thoughts, Roseanne Jones, no problem. Michael, how important is building ab work into your routine? Not vastly important. Your abs are going to arrive because you dieted correctly and you've been in a calorie deficit and you've got lean. They're not necessarily going to show up just because you've done loads of crunches. Once you can see your abs, train your abs. That's what I'd always recommend. Don't waste your time doing crunches when you probably should be doing deadlifts, squats, pull-ups, big movements that are burning tons of calories. Once you can see your abs, once you're that lean, then start training your abs. Jonathan, magic cheers, looking forward to the veins then. Awesome, I look forward to seeing them at check-in day. Just on that note, folks, remember, the leaner you are, the more food technically you can eat, because especially when it comes to carbohydrates, because your body is going to use those nutrients properly. It's going to use them to help build muscle as opposed to store fat if you get everything right and your metabolism is burning the way it's supposed to. So get yourself lean before you try and get big. Don't go on big fat bulks. Michael, core strength doesn't really matter when it comes to stuff like that. If you squat and deadlift, your core that's what's going to train your core. You know, big strong squatters, big strong deadlifters. If you run into Thor Bjornsson, you know, there's one of the strongest deadlifts in the world. Guarantee he doesn't train his abs, but he does squats, deadlifts, bench presses, rows, things like that. These are big core movements, loaded core movements. You don't need to be lying down on a mat and doing many crunches. You know, of course, if you want to see a six-pack in the future, once you can see it and you can see the muscle density, then by all means do it, but don't waste your time. If you're trying to get results, if you're genuinely trying to get results initially, stick to the bigger movements for now. Train your abs if you want, but don't prioritize them. Definitely don't prioritize them. Is it possible to adapt a Live Up program to a vegetarian diet due to intolerances? Not really. You can use meat substitutes, but of course any vegan or vegetarian diet is going to be negatively affecting your results. That's just a fact. It's the way it is. I've never heard of anyone be intolerant to meat or anything like that, but it's one of those things. If you choose not to eat meat, then you must accept that your results are going to be much, much harder to come by, unfortunately. Harry Pound, thanks for that. I work a variety of shifts with earlys, lates, nights, and this is havoc for consistency and meal timings. Absolutely, it's a real bitch. Is there anything you could recommend for still getting the calories in? Think weekly. Work out what your weekly calorie goal is and track it to that. You know, if you try and think daily, some days you're going to sleep more than others and you might not have time to get the meals in. Figure out what you need to take in per week. Maybe it's 18,000 calories and just make sure you get that in that week. Set yourself that target as opposed to a daily target. How long after signing up one-to-one online do you get your plan? I'm signing up to start Monday after New Year. Would it be better to register the week before that? Yeah, I mean, basically the programs will run from the day you sign your PARQ, and then that gets our trainers working, and you can usually expect between 3 and 7 days before your program arrives, dependent on how busy the trainer is. But yeah, it's usually between 5 and 7 days, or 3 and 7 days. Any tips for correct form on front squats? I sometimes find I'm looking up or leaning too far forwards. You probably want to get your elbows higher because your thoracic spine is collapsing like that. So try and drive your elbows up a lot higher. That can be really helped by stretching your forearms out regularly, because if you've got tight forearms, it's very hard to get into a good front squat position. You know, the classic one that most females do is, instead of holding the bar up here, they hold the bar here in their hand, and that obviously is dragging you forwards. So make sure you're front squatting correctly and the bar is sitting along this line, not out in your hand in front of you. Shireen, 5 minutes at 78%. What? Oh, right, is this? Yeah, immediately it looks like immediately it looks like something silly that's just been thrown up on the internet. If you want to squat. You're not going to Valhalla no matter how much you squat. Kiki Fergo, you're welcome. It's a very, very common one, people, especially with what you see on Instagram. Again, all of these fitness influencers. The amount of times I've seen these fitness influencers say that this is a front squat, holding a bar in front of them and then dipping up and down, is not a front squat. It's an idiot squat. It's going to kill your wrists. It's going to murder your wrists. There's a good chance it's going to ruin your back too. So pick your influencers wisely. We are just past the halfway point. We have 25 minutes. Oh, I'm so sick still. It's not good. I need more rest is what I need. But Christmas is coming up. And who can sleep when Santa's going to turn up? Not me. Not me. Bobby Pask sent a request to be in your video. Thank you, Bobby, but no. I am T-Joe, trying to convince Mum to join Live Up. She's been told she needs to lose weight before an op, but massively lacks confidence and energy. Any advice? Show her the forum. You know, get her on your Facebook and show her the forum. Show her the kind of support that we have in there. Show her the kind of people we have in there. Show her what actually goes on in there. You know, that forum is the most powerful part of the program. The support that you all give each other in there, and the reassurance, and the fact that there's everybody in there from 18-year-old girls to 65-year-old women. It's kind of a program for everyone, and I think sometimes starting something new like that, especially a weight training based program, can be intimidating. But I think if she sees what actually goes on inside the program as opposed to making judgments from outside, it could be very helpful. Flat pack to six pack Warren. It's not ideal, but is it possible to train for marathon without sacrificing muscle already gained? What's the best way to approach this? It is potentially, but you're always risking it. You know, if you're trying to do anything as an endurance event, your body is going to try to get lighter. It makes absolutely no logical sense for your body to be heavy if it's trying to run a marathon. So it will do everything it can to get rid of some fat, but also a lot of muscle. So it depends, you know, some of it's going to be relatively genetically based. It also depends how much you're eating, how much you're recovering, and how you adapt your training to suit the marathon training. Now, if you're doing something like marathon training, which is going to be incredibly hard on the joints, incredibly hard on other things, I would potentially drop the volume a little bit in your workouts. Anything that's going to minimize the amount of cortisol raised in your workouts, better. So maybe something like a 5x5 protocol while you're training for it, and then do your higher endurance stuff when you're doing your marathon training. So the heavy weights are going to offset the potential for muscle loss. Can't get my words out today. My brain is obviously on shutdown. Fitness for Life, what's up? Joanne M Fitness, UP Fitness needs to come to Liverpool. You never know, we might. We're not far off, you know. Manchester, it's only a little jaunt up the road, not far at all. Quickly pop in your car. Saying that, you're in Liverpool. Your car's probably not got wheels on it anymore, has it? Hey, sorry, you shouldn't have done that. That was rude. It was funny though. Do you know I've never been to Liverpool, interestingly. Obviously I'm stereotyping it, I've got a lot of Scouse mates, but it's I've heard it's quite a cool city, very metropolitan these days. When weight training and completing sets and reps, should you be getting to the point of failure at the end of the sets? You should be right next to it. Yes, Michael. You want to be pushing it to a point where you're maybe 1 or 2 reps away from failure, but without losing technical form. So you don't want messy reps. You want to keep those reps nice and tight, but yeah, you want to be approaching failure with 1 or 2 reps to go. Can you explain how it's possible to hold, gain weight whilst under eating? Is this easily reversed? Because if you've taken too big a deficit, you're under eating, then your body is going to refuse point blank to burn fat. It's going to really try its hardest to hold on to fat because it needs that to survive. It's kind of that simple. Also, as you are doing it, if you're under eating, your metabolism is slowing down. When your metabolism slows down, it down regulates your processes essentially to save fuel. Okay, so you're burning less calories even though you're the same size because you're giving yourself less food. There's a number of different mechanisms by which it happens, but this is why you need to make sure that you're nourishing your body. Don't starve the body, it's not smart. Joanne, don't know what you're missing. My alloys? Just see what I did there, because it's Liverpool and I was like, yeah, no, okay, fine. Chelsea Peacock, hello. What's the best stretches to do post and pre-workouts? Gallagher, stretch your whole body. A pre-workout stretch I've actually put up on my YouTube channel. Go to YouTube, Elliot Upton, and look at the pre-workout warm-up I put on there. That's what I do before my sessions. Kind of a full body warm-up, predominantly based on legs. Obviously get the blood pumping, get yourself mobilized, get the hips moving and active. And then post-workout, stretch all of your muscles, everything you've worked specifically, and that's a static stretch kind of thing. So, you know, either or. Do the dynamic first, static post, but dependent on what you want to do. I can't really stand here for the next 10 minutes and show you every single stretch for every single muscle, but those things are easily available on Google. So go check it out. No more jokes about Scouse people nicking your wheels. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Maybe one more in a minute. Makes sense, thank you. Savage info in these live feeds. We do try to be savages. Yeah. If someone is under eating because they want to lose fat and it's not going, what's the best thing to do? Increase calories? Absolutely, yes, but increase them slowly and steadily. Take them up maybe 50 to 100 a week, and eventually what you'll probably find is that they hit a point where suddenly their body starts to get a lot leaner. So just take things very, very slowly. Barso, I never do warm-ups. Are they really important? Yes, they are incredibly important. Get on over to that video and check it out. As soon as the live feed's over, go watch that. It'll be very, very useful. It'll make you a lot stronger. It'll make your training a lot better. Your preferred rep set ranges for strength. For me, if you want to just be outright strong, I like to go 5 or less. That's what I respond to very, very well. As long as I don't do anything below, anything above 5, I seem to get strong real quick. So that would be my advice to you. With regards to sets, again, I think it's individually dependent. I don't like to do any more than 2 to 3 sets at a maximum weight if I've built up there. What I find then is that I overstress my muscular system and my nervous system, and I start to plateau or I don't progress. Whereas if I do 2 to 3 working sets at a heavy weight and never more than 5 reps, I get strong pretty damn quick. 4 hours a week in a gym, is it possible to build muscle? Yes, absolutely. Remember, you don't build muscle in a gym, you build muscle while you're recovering. All you're doing in a gym is breaking muscle tissue down. You're creating a reason for that muscle to grow back bigger and stronger. So yes, absolutely, 4 days a week is enough, or 4 hours a week is enough. Go on, because I've never heard of them before, honest. Yeah, I bet you haven't. So one of my best mates is a Scouser, and I give it to him all of the time. Mr. Phil Savage, just in case you're watching this, check out, just got a mention and a shout out. Are all herbs and spices okay to use on food, e.g. paprika, all-purpose seasoning, fish seasoning? Yeah, in my opinion, they are. Yes, yes, yes. I'm just here for the banter. Give it off, give it off. Bobby Pask, what is the best tricks to keep your testosterone level high and healthy for men over 35? Strength train, sleep, and a diet high in good fats. So sleep and recover properly, strength train, and a diet high in fats. How do UP keep their clients' motivation high, apart from obviously the cost of quality training? Jasminda, this is going to seem cliche, but results. Our clients remain more motivated than most because we get more results than most. It's that simple. The biggest motivator you will ever have towards anything is results, and that's how we get ours there. Plus, I'll let you off because your lives are quite informative. Thank you, Joanne. Thank you for letting me off. Thank you very much. I was worried for a moment then. Aidan, I have a new client who's 12 weeks postnatal. I wouldn't see her before 12 weeks. Thinking basic pelvic floor exercise and light cardio to start with. Any other tips, mate? It depends on the condition of her. You know, there's always going to be issues. She needs to be doing pelvic floor stuff. I wouldn't necessarily get her doing cardio. I would get her doing fixed weight machines. Don't do anything unstable yet because she could have relaxin elastin flood in her body. So just keep her stable and play it by ear to a degree, but don't turn to cardio necessarily. Number one, it's going to teach her a bad habit and make her think that cardio is the way forward. Number two, it's going to be less effective than getting her weight training and getting her strong again. Perfect after workout food, early morning or evening workout. Perfect after workout food is always going to be a shake because it's designed to be absorbed very, very quickly. Then I would suggest having something nice and easily digestible, carbs like rice or something along those lines. And for me, usually chicken or red meat. Protein shakes. Is it more beneficial to have one before or after your workout? It would suggest afterwards, but in reality it's going to take your body a while to digest it anyway. Depends how long your workout is, but I would say afterwards is always going to be better, ideally. And again, for the majority of females, you want to be having probably 30 grams of protein post-workout, 20 to 30 grams, depending on your size and your goals. For most males, between 30 and 50 grams of protein post-workout, again, dependent on your size and your goals. And of course, how hard you train. Because if you train like a pussy, you probably don't need it anyway. Oh, my eye's bloodshot again. I don't think so. I think we're doing all right today. We're not doing too bad on the old bloodshot. Remember, everything you've got here can be seen later on YouTube. It will be going up. We missed last week's because of a technical error with my camera, but the week before that, that is up and alive and kicking on there, so you can go check them out, along with everything from this year. All of the ones that we filmed, some of them were filmed and transferred on my iPhone until I then went and got a nice big posh camera to get them done properly. So they are all there. If you need to refer back to anything on this, you can go over there. Obviously, share them onto Facebook, share them to Twitter, share them to wherever you want. It'll be very, very helpful for me, and hopefully we can get a bit of information out there. Obviously, there's a lot of people in the internet who do what I do. They try and give you information. Some of it I agree with, some of it I absolutely do not agree with. So if you think this has been valuable to anyone, get on over to YouTube and share some of the videos out there to your social media profiles. It'd be much appreciated, and I may love you forever. Is it right there's a cutoff point with protein and timing is key, meaning 30 grams times 4 is better than 120 grams in one sitting? I mean, yeah, that's absolutely right. For me, meal frequency is vastly important. I would suggest the more you can eat, the better, i.e. the more smaller sittings. Now, that's not because a study has said so, that's just what I've seen evidentially with people. With regards to 120 grams in one sitting, chances are you're not going to eat 120 grams in one sitting, because that would be, you know, like a kilo of steak or whatever. But with regards to a cutoff point, I wouldn't necessarily say there's a cut-off point, but certainly I do believe in high-frequency feeds. Max Rogers training. For someone trying to gain size, would you recommend flooding the body with carbs pre, intra, post-workout, or timing doesn't matter? Timing absolutely does matter, because otherwise you're likely to gain as much fat as you do muscle. Try to surround, irrelevant of your goal, whether it's fat loss or otherwise, try to make sure you always put your carbohydrates in around your workout. And again, if you find that you can't get too many in either pre or post, put them in pre if you're quite lean. If you can handle them pre-workout and you're very, very lean already, put them in there. The majority of them should be post, and anything else I would put right before you go to bed, because it's going to allow recovery, it's going to allow better sleep, which is therefore going to allow more growth. Farhad, I have knee pain just below my right knee on the outside. Whenever I squat deep, I can feel the pain. It also prevents me from sprinting. Is it ligament damage? Not necessarily, Farhad. It could just be a really, really tight tibialis anterior. So if you run your thumb down that outer muscle, just on the outer edge of your shin, does it hurt, and do you feel tension, and do you feel that tracking into the knee? If so, say yes or no. Becky Lou, you're welcome. Below the right kneecap, yeah. Put your finger on that tibialis anterior muscle, mate, and move it around a bit, see if you get any issues there. If not that, it could well be your vastus lateralis, which is the outer edge of your quad, which means you probably just need to roll your IT band, and you need to roll your quad a lot more before you squat. I get the same thing on my left knee, actually, but it's just because I'm tight in the left quad. Top 3 most important and beneficial supplements for muscle building, obviously when nutrition, etc. is on point. For me, as always, it's to tend not to change that much. I would say probably magnesium for recovery and sleep, because you're going to grow when you're sleeping. I would say zinc to help maximize your testosterone and make sure all of the other processes in your body are working effectively, and something like omega-3 fish oils to bring down inflammation, to allow proper cellular activity and to actually allow things to do what they need to do. Good exercises to banish the moobs, or is this one about eating and nutrition? Again, it's all about eating and nutrition. It's controlling your estrogen. You can take supplements like Estro Support, which you can find on upfitness.com. Taking lots of green vegetables and lots of clean organic proteins. Don't eat dirty proteins. Don't eat cheap supermarket meat. And that's going to be a really good start. There's a lot more to it than that, and I could go into this subject for quite a while, but I won't. But those would be your basics. Get the basics right. Get good grass-fed organic meats. Eat plenty of green vegetables, and take Estro Support from upfitness.com, and it will help kind of bring that down, or certainly get it under control initially. So if you do 4, 5, 6 weight sessions a week, you don't recommend a week off 12 weeks. If you do 4, 5 and 6 weight training sessions a week, you're not training hard enough. Simple as that. As I said earlier, you're not training hard enough. If you train with me, you wouldn't make it past 3 days a week. I'm busy with final exams. My stress levels always go through the roof. As a result, I lose my appetite, struggle to sleep, and lose weight rapidly. Any suggestions as how I can reduce the effects? Yeah, eat. Plan your eating. You know, you may lose your appetite, but it's probably because you're not eating. Plan it. You have to structure it. You know, sometimes in order to look after your body, you're going to have to make yourself a little bit uncomfortable. If you know that you should be taking an X amount of food and you want to make the most out of it, then plan those foods. Set an alarm, now I need to go and eat. And if you haven't got much of an appetite, eat lighter foods, eat more fats, because that's going to allow more calories for less food volume. What you have to remember is that if you're not nourished, if you're not eating properly, your brain is not working, your neurotransmitters are not working, so you're going to be less effective at whatever else it is you do. If that's studying, then that's studying. If it's work, it's work. If it's family, it's family. If you are malnourished, everything gets worse. So it's worth you putting that extra little bit of effort into getting the food in. Upper, lower body split, best way forward for a 4-day training week. I would do upper and lower on every day, but I would do upper front, lower back, and then vice versa on the other session and split that into an A and B. That's how I would program for a 4-day week. Do you think artificial sweeteners like sulfame K or sucralose are harmful to the body, especially digestion like studies have shown? Yes, 100%, absolutely I do. Do UP have any recipe books? Kaylee, if you go to the meal planning book, you can go onto amazon.co.uk and you can search UP Fitness meal plans, and it should come up with the meal planning book, which has loads of recipes in there. Also on upfitness.com, we have an entire section of recipes. There's loads on there. Nicola Bo Yates, hey, is the live up only for fat loss? No, it is not. It is for both. I will put muscle on you whilst getting fat off you, and then once we have you lean, we will get you even more muscular dependent on what your goal is specifically. Michael McGee, no problem, you're most welcome. Barso, how can you say that? I train really hard, be it 4, 5, 6 days. I'm telling you right now, Barso, if you are training 6 days per week, you wouldn't last 3 days with me. You'd be on the floor within 10 minutes because you ain't training that hard for 6 days a week. Maybe we'll have to agree to disagree, but in my experience, which is rather vast, I've been doing this for a very, very long time, anyone who trains 6 days a week isn't training hard enough. Farhad, no, I think the quads are too tight. I can kneel down, but even fighting the pain, I can't get to full motion. Okay, so roll out your quads. Get the outer edge of your quads, get it on a roller, or get a good strong massage and try and get that broken through. It could take 2 or 3 weeks. I have exactly the same on my outer quads. I've got a very quad dominant squat, and it does cause a lot of tension in my outer leg. I heard that MPS was capped at 30 to 50 grams dependent on the individual. Right, so Joanne, the way to look at this is when you say capped, this is going to have such a massive, this is kind of one of those things that really annoys me, because when people say you can't digest any more than 30 grams of protein per meal, right? So is that to say that a 40 kilogram woman and Thor Bjornsson, who's 200 odd kilos and relatively lean, can only digest 30 grams of protein at a time? No, absolutely it doesn't. Now, that spectrum is considerably bigger. Not only that, but everybody's digestive system works completely differently. Everybody's need for protein works completely differently. If you ask me, that is utter rubbish. Utter rubbish. Yes, absolutely. I believe that the more meals you can split your daily intake into, the better your results will be. However, to say that there is a protein limit per meal, I don't think that's something that anybody should hold on to. Yes, there is a protein limit. If you're a 50 kilo female and you're trying to eat 80 grams of protein in a sitting, you're not going to get anything from it. You're going to really struggle. It's going to cause you more digestive problems than it is benefits. So yeah, keep them small. But to say there is a cap on it, I think it's just another one of those stupid fitness industry claims, which they've not really thought about what's actually going on there, in my opinion. Hell yeah. What forms of magnesium do you recommend? There's multiple chelates of magnesium. They all do slightly different things. We have got magnesium L-threonate on the website up there, and also, can't remember the other one, but go and check it out. UP Fitness, but magnesium L-threonate is very useful for getting into the brain, so it's very good for helping you sleep. So go and check that out. But there's multiple different types. Is it worth going to chiropractor for knee pain, or is it physiotherapist? I would suggest a physio or a very good sports massage therapist, because it's muscular tension. The fact is that your muscles are pulling too hard on your knee, and that's causing issues. I have exactly the same, like I say. Go to a good therapist. Thank you, I don't have any fat to lose, I just want to get stronger. Okay, so it may be a case of when I see your pictures, I just give you more meals. Willow Eat, thoughts on megadosing fish oil with 30 to 45 grams recommended? It can be really helpful, especially in the initial stages of, for instance, a transformation, because it brings down inflammation. High doses of DHA, I believe, bring down inflammation extremely quickly. What I would suggest is that you make sure you have something with lemon flavoring, or find a way to burn it down, because you're going to be repeating on yourself all day long. No problem, Kaylee. I've applied for the UP job. What's the best 3 things about working for UP? Christ, how long have you got? Number 1, you've got a career that can take you anywhere in the world, and you can do anything with it, and we are the only business in the world where that can happen. Number 2, you get to work with Nick Mitchell, you get to learn from him, you get to see how the man has built what he's built. Number 3, you're part of a family with UP. So is it true 1.5 grams of protein 1.5 grams of protein per kilo? No, I don't believe that is true. It's a good ballpark. Absolutely, it's a good ballpark. You know, if you're setting up your diet and you say, right, I'll have 1.5 grams as a baseline, you can see what happens there. Did it work? Did it not work? It's simple as that. You know, any formula, any preconceived notion of how much you should or shouldn't be having is useful. Absolutely, it's useful because it gives you a baseline. It gives you a control test. You can see what happens and you can move up or down or sideways around that control. Okay, so is it to say that 1.5 is the way to go? It's a good ballpark, but is it the absolute be all and end all? No, it's not. Max Rogers training. I start work at UP Mayfair next month. So excited to rub shoulders with the best and learn. Glad to have you, Max. Welcome to the team. Matt Keenan, thoughts on YouTubers and Instagrammers being in better shape than professional athletes? All credit to them. Go for it. You know what you have to remember is that YouTubers and Instagrammers tend not to get tested for certain things quite so often. So you'll often find they will be in better shape than athletes because athletes, for the most part, are natural when you see them on their pictures. They tend not to be while they're training, but certainly. As always, thanks for the help. You're welcome, Fahad. Jasminda, how strict does a diet when on the UP programs? As strict as it needs to be to get you in shape. We're not here to give you a kiss on the face. We're not here to give you a pat on the back if you don't deserve it. We're here to get you lean and get your results first and foremost. You should be doing what is necessary to make that happen, and we will give you the guides to do that. If you choose not to do it, that is your prerogative. Is it sustainable? Is it sustainable change or more for drastic results? And will you need to adjust to be more sustainable? Hence, well, once the program is done. Again, depends on you. Do you want a really, really quick result or do you want something that's going to take a lot longer? You decide that and we will find a way to make either one of them sustainable. If we get a rapid transformation out of you, we show you how to make sure you don't suddenly fall off the wagon. Again, whether you do or not is your choice. Is it possible to be catabolic and anabolic at the same time? I'm going to say no. I'm currently trying to work towards lean body, but concerned about losing muscle mass. Yeah, you can't. That's like saying, can you be running forwards and backwards at the same time? You can't be catabolic and anabolic at the same time. You're either one or the other. Bloating, best tips to reduce. Natasha, I would figure out what's making you bloat, what's causing the bloating. Is it a particular food or is it a particular drink? Make a note of when you are bloated and what you've done in the previous 6 hours. Have you eaten something? And then start to see a pattern. That's always the first one. If not that, it's always worth drinking more water because sometimes, especially with females, it can be just an issue of not enough hydration. So drinking more water will help to push that through. Stufa, go to a football team's physio. They should be knee experts. Willow Eat, nice one, thanks. Nicola Bo Yates, thank you. Barcelo, hello. Hello again, Barso. Did you go somewhere? We have. 2 minutes remaining, folks. So you know what happens at the 2 minute mark. I go quick fire and I have to answer these questions very, very quickly. Thoughts on steroids? Lots of people are on them. I wouldn't recommend them. Joanne M Fitness, thank you for your information this evening. No problem, Joanne. Sleep tight. Willow Eat, one more if possible. On a high carb day, should it be post-workout before bed or can it be through the day? I would always recommend, if you want to stay lean and build muscle, I would recommend you surround your workout with your carbs as closely as possible. Having them kind of wherever throughout the day is not necessarily going to be optimal, in my opinion. Is flavoured sparkling water worth drinking or plain with lemon? I wouldn't necessarily get anything flavoured. If you want to get normal sparkling water like this and squeeze lemon juice or lime juice in it, do that. Do not buy the pre-flavoured ones. It's not a smart idea. And any of you who have concerns about your sex drive, your testosterone, bitch tits, bloating, swelling, anything like that, then I would recommend you don't go for anything that's artificially sweetened. Drink more water to help bloating. Yes, Anito, because if you're bloated constantly, water's going to help your digestive tract. So if it's a digestive issue, it's going to help assist that. Secondarily, I was doing this the other day. Secondarily, if you're retaining water, sometimes it's because you're dehydrated. So more water in, more water out, and you'll hold less. HRV. Thanks for a great night of chat. Once again, you are welcome, HRV. I'll see you in the forums. Brill, thanks as always. You're welcome. Well, Anito, no problem at all. Remember, folks, you hear me say, you hear me bleat on about it all the damn time. 4 to 6 litres of water per day for all of you. That doesn't include sodas, that doesn't include, which you shouldn't be drinking anyway, it doesn't include teas and coffees, things like that. Have water, sparkling or natural, it doesn't matter, but get at least 4 to 6 litres in per day and you'll be amazed at how it makes you feel. Michael McGee, no problem. Leslie, you're welcome. Roseanne Jones, no problem at all. We've got 50 seconds. You've still got 50 to get me some stuff in. And sorry, but what was the purpose of lemon juice where megadose and fish oil? To stop it from stinking, because guarantee you about an hour and a half after you've had that, you're going to start burping up fish. Now, irrelevant of whether you're on a hot day or not, no one around you, including yourself, is going to like that. There's a good chance it's going to make you throw up. Fish oil is a nasty thing to burp up, and lemon does kind of neutralize it a little bit. So either get some that has lemon flavoring or have some lemon juice around it, or keep drinking lemon all day. Just try and get rid of the smell, try and hide it, because it's nasty. It's like wandering around with a fishmongers on your back. Right, we've got 13 seconds before I say goodbye. Juice of lime with pink Himalayan salt first thing in the morning. Myth or magic? Magic. It will kill bloating and be amazing for your digestive system. Goodbye. This is me out. Thank you for joining. I will see you next week. Pow. YouTube, that was our live feed over on @UP Fitness Live. You can check it out every single Wednesday. You can come and talk to me live. But of course, if you still want to put questions in the comments box below, you can load them up there and I will answer them either in written form. Forgive my grammar, I'm not the smartest guy in the world. Or I will put a whole separate video on them if necessary. So do not be afraid to throw them in. Until next week, I will see you later. I've been Elliot Upton and this is UP Fitness. Well, this is my house, but you know what I mean. Laters.